A few of these chapters I've been writing are about locations or different creatures roaming the equestrian wasteland. This is important because, just like with ponies and zebras, the Great War affected all of them as well. However, some of them were slightly less affected than others, and because of that, they've been able to maintain a certain lifestyle even after the balefire bombs. One such place has come to be known as Mar Harbor. The name comes from a really old term, Mare Australis, which just means South Sea. But most ponies stop using the word mare for water because, well, it's spelled the same as mare for mares. Mar also became a double meaning because the harbor of the island is the only place actually marred by radiation. In case you haven't figured it out yet, the island is located way far to the south, so it's a bit of a journey to get there. But if you happen to be down on that side of the world, it is one of the biggest trading posts you can visit. I first heard about it when I was making a delivery down there for this hippogriff. Hippogriffs are a lot rarer to find around Equestria than griffins, which may seem similar at first, but they're different. Do not confuse them. It's insulting to both. With griffins, their tail, hind legs, and butt are like a lion. With griffins, their tail, hind legs, and butt look like a pony, except they don't have cutie marks. I only met 1 or 2 hippogriffs before the war because there were a lot less of them than griffins. Although they were much stronger allies with Equestria, they didn't have magic in the same way as ponies or zebras, so while they helped us during the war, it was a relatively small contribution. However, the one magic they do have is what makes them so neat. It's also the reason why they've survived pretty well since the war. You see, the hippogriffs can transform into sea ponies, real sea ponies that sing and dance underwater. Long before the Great War, the hippogriffs used this magic to survive some other conflicts. Back then, it was because of some magic pearl or gem or something. But the few balefire bombs that landed near them made it so that the pieces of the pearl became a part of them. So now every hippogriff can transform into a sea pony from birth. And they are so nice. Even though Mar Harbor is radiated, they still come down to trade with ponies and other travelers that are crossing the sea, which they don't have to do. The mountain on their island is very tall and not really radiated above a certain altitude. The water part of their kingdom, where they're sea ponies, is basically radiation-free because of the Arctic Ocean currents. That package that I mentioned earlier was from this hippogriff... Buck? I'm not really sure if buck is the right word. This guy said he'd take it there himself, but he had some other stuff to do first, so I handed over my absolutely everything store to a mare friend for a few weeks, and spent a long time flying all the way down to Mount Eris. When I first landed in Mar Harbor, I saw a variety of boats that were docked in a long beachfront with shops and things that were run by hippogriffs. Then in the water below the boats, there were sea ponies fixing them up to make it through rough waters of the sea. Even though the fog was a bit hazy and green, you could see the normal hippogriff city way up on the mountain behind these giant stone wings that looked super cool. I talked to a few vendors on the boardwalk, and they didn't even flinch when they saw how squishy I looked. They just talked to me like normal and waited for me to write questions on the chalkboard. Unfortunately, there were like hundreds of them, so it took me a while to find the mare girl I had to deliver the package to. Eventually, one of them knew her and flew me up the mountain to the city. In the little house on the side of the town was this periwinkle blue hippogriff with the brightest pink eyes who was really excited to see the package. She tore it open with her claws, and inside was this very fancy necklace with green gems. I actually had no idea I was carrying something that valuable, so I was really glad that nothing happened to it on the flight to the town. She squeed and put on the necklace, then hugged both me and her friend who was still standing there. The hippogriff guy was her fiancé, and she was very worried when he first left for a trip to Equestria. Because of the danger, he didn't want her to go, but at the same time, she didn't want him to go either. But it was something he said he had to do because he wanted to gather up books and other knowledge from the mainland about what they had been doing since the war. because even with the sea traders, not many ponies from the north made it all the way down to Mar Harbor for any reason. When he first came into absolutely everything, he was just looking for books. Any books I had. Which is one of the first things that really got me thinking about writing this book, the one that you're reading right now. Luckily, I was able to sell him an arcane science book and some old medical journals that he put into his small personal skywagon. Then, when he saw that I did deliveries, he asked me about sending something all the way down to the hippogriff town to his special some pony. Some creature. His fiancée. That way, she'd know he was fine and would be home soon again. Besides how warm and fuzzy their love story makes me feel, I also remember that trip because of how much of an effect the rest of the hippogriffs had on me. The whole time I was down there, none of them treated me any different for being a ghoul or not having a tongue. They were patient and understanding as I tried to figure out where the heck this chick lived by writing out endless questions in chalk. And to find out, even though they could fly and swim and basically avoid balefire all of their lives if they wanted to, they still set up a set of shops in Mar Harbor to trade with ponies who sailed by. So if you ever find yourself way down there for any reason, take a visit to Mar Harbor. You'll find some of the friendliest bird ponies you can imagine.